of saying that taste is innate, because if it's innate, then there's nothing we can do. But if taste is something that we can be taught, how do we have to change the program or adjust so that we're going to be okay for the next 10, 20, 30 years?
Well, I mean, I think that's one thing too about starting to become more of a manager and art director and creative director too, is like trying to figure out how to foster that out of other people, right? So whether you're an educator or higher up, I'm trying to decode that as a curriculum assignment, right? Because the thing is, you really want to create an environment where people can sort of experiment and sort of, synthesize and play with things in order to come up with something new. I don't know. It's that thing. It's like, if we could say, how do you teach taste? I think a lot more people would innately have that. I think it is doing the work and failing, and then knowing intuitively, it's like you touch the stove, it's hot, then I don't touch it again. So I did that thing. It was bad or ill received. I'm not going to do it again. So I think the system is set up already for that, in the idea of doing the work, doing the crits, getting the consensus. I think there are ways now with an expanded audience and with the internet, is to see if there's like a wider net that we could throw these projects to, if there's ways that we can get more of, not necessarily design by committee, but like the idea of a broader swash in our feedback loops. That might be something that's interesting to think about, like creating a curriculum that gets a wider swash in the critique phase. But yeah, I mean, if there was a silver bullet for taste, I think I would have tried to do that a long time ago myself.
Well, maybe this is not good for me to admit, but I'm going to say it. I think for a period of time, I did not have good taste at all in many different things. And as an educator, as a person who's removed from the service space, I have to believe that this stuff can be taught, like everything. It's just that we don't understand things well enough. And I'll give you an example, and people are going to probably shriek at this. Two of my favorite colors used to be purple and teal. Let's not even go into it. I'm just going to put that out there. And I had pretty poor taste. And I'll tell you why. I grew up in the Valley, in Silicon Valley, as a first generation immigrant. I wasn't exposed to art, architecture, photography, fine art, none of that stuff. And so I'm just kind of like a kid with Valley taste, right? And then I go to Art Center and I start to get exposed to the legends, the people who are written in the history books. And I start to understand things from a different perspective. And with increased exposure, I start to learn things. I take a nature materials class and they teach you how to fabricate a desk unit. So now you have an appreciation for craftsmanship because it's so hard to get a perfect edge. And then what I try to do with my own children is when we go out into the world, I expose them to things and I say, look how this is constructed. This is quality. This is not quality. And we keep going through that. That's good design. That's bad design. And so they start to train themselves. So I think in order for us to survive in this space into the future, we have to have really great history teachers who make this stuff come alive, because we need to know where things come from so that we can be precise in our prompt engineering. Or saying, I think it's a little bit of a Matisse, but in the early works with a little bit of like a Dadaist kind of approach. Put those two together and do it this way so that we have those reference points. Otherwise, the machine is leading the artist. I think we need to be heavy into rhetoric. So we know how to speak. We know how to think critically. We know how to make an argument for things. And we need to, I think, enroll in critical dialogue and analysis so that when we look at a painting or we listen to a piece of music, we can break down the layers to understand the subcomponents. So we know how they're arranged and why they work together so that we can do similar things, or at least direct a machine to do that. At least that was what I would throw out there.